My child, my beloved. Pause for a moment and listen carefully, because the reason you are here right now is not accidental. Something unseen has been unfolding around you, quietly, steadily, and with intention. What you are about to hear is not meant to create fear, but awareness. There are moments when heaven speaks softly, and moments when silence itself becomes dangerous. This is one of those moments when listening changes everything. My child, my beloved. Before your mind tries to rush ahead or doubt what your spirit already feels, I ask you to stay with me. Do not scroll. Do not distract yourself. There are warnings that come wrapped in chaos, and there are warnings that arrive wrapped in mercy. This one arrives because protection is still possible. If you are hearing this now, it means the door has not yet closed. My child, my beloved. Many people sense trouble only after it has already taken something from them. They say, "I wish I had known earlier," or "I felt something was off but I ignored it." You are not here to regret later. You are here to understand now. Heaven does not shout without reason. When Archangel Michael speaks urgently, it is because timing has become critical. My child, my beloved. There is a movement happening in your life that did not begin today. It began quietly, weeks ago, maybe months ago, disguised as coincidence, delay, or confusion. You thought it was stress. You thought it was exhaustion. You thought it would pass on its own. But what you were sensing was your spirit detecting a shift before your eyes could see it. My child, my beloved. This is why I need you to stay until the end. Not because of curiosity, but because clarity arrives step by step. Many leave too early and miss the exact instruction that would have changed the outcome. What is coming toward you is not unstoppable, but it is close enough that ignoring this moment would remove your advantage. My child, my beloved. If you feel a strange heaviness in your chest while listening, that is not fear. That is recognition. Your spirit knows when truth is near. There is a reason you were protected before. There is a reason certain plans failed. There is a reason some doors closed painfully. Those were not losses. Those were delays meant to keep you alive for this exact warning. My child, my beloved. Before I go deeper, let me ask you something important. Are you willing to listen fully, even if the message challenges what you expected? Many blessings are missed not because people are unworthy, but because they only accept messages that sound comfortable. This message carries protection, but protection often requires awareness first. My child, my beloved. If you want to continue receiving guidance like this, guidance that is meant to guard your path and sharpen your discernment, stay connected. Do not treat spiritual warnings casually. The people who remain aligned are the ones who stay attentive when the message becomes serious. My child, my beloved. There is a chain reaction forming around you. One decision, one conversation, one place, one delay, everything is connected. What looks like a small moment ahead carries consequences far larger than you realize. That is why Archangel Michael has stepped forward now, not later, not after damage, but before impact. My child, my beloved. Some tragedies do not arrive as sudden disasters. They arrive as misunderstandings. as trust placed in the wrong direction, as silence when something should have been questioned, as moving forward when a pause was required. This is why you are being asked to slow down right now and see what you were about to miss. My child, my beloved. There is someone around you who does not intend harm consciously, yet their actions are opening a door that should never have been opened. And there is another influence, unseen, waiting for that opening. This is not about blaming people. This is about recognizing patterns before they complete themselves. My child, my beloved. You may be wondering why this feels so specific. Why this message feels like it is speaking directly to you. That is because it is. Warnings do not go to crowds. They go to individuals who still have time to choose differently. My child, my beloved. If you had ignored this moment, the signs would still appear later, but they would arrive louder, harsher, and with consequences already attached. Right now, you are being given the gentlest form of intervention, awareness before action. My child, my beloved. There is still a way to stop what is forming. But stopping it does not mean fighting. It means recognizing what must not continue. It means withdrawing energy from something that no longer deserves access to your life. My child, my beloved. Do not assume this warning means everything will fall apart. Quite the opposite. Many times, heaven warns because something precious is meant to be preserved. You are being guarded not because you are weak, but because what you carry matters more than you know. My child, my beloved. Stay with me. The next part will reveal exactly what must be noticed, what must be avoided, and what must be chosen differently, not in fear, but in wisdom. Beloved soul listening now, what approaches you is not random chaos, and it is not punishment. It is a turning point that demands awareness. When danger moves quietly, it often disguises itself as normal routine, familiar faces, or comfortable habits. That is why this moment matters so deeply. What you fail to notice now will demand your attention later in a far harsher way. Heaven intervenes early only when prevention is still possible, and this message arrives as proof that intervention is happening for you. Chosen one, you have recently felt an unexplained urge to reconsider something you were about to do, say, or agree to. That hesitation was not weakness. It was intuition strengthened by divine protection. There is a situation ahead that looks harmless on the surface, yet it carries consequences that stretch far beyond what your mind has calculated. This is why slowing down right now is not delay, it is defense. Precious listener, understand this clearly, not every threat announces itself loudly. Some arrive softly, through misplaced trust, rushed decisions, or silence where clarity was needed. You are being warned because your life has reached a sensitive junction. A single step taken without awareness could redirect your path into unnecessary struggle. That is why clarity is being given before momentum carries you too far. Chosen one, you have recently felt an unexplained urge to reconsider something you were about to do, say, or agree to. That hesitation was not weakness. It was intuition strengthened by divine protection. There is a situation ahead that looks harmless on the surface, yet it carries consequences that stretch far beyond what your mind has calculated. This is why slowing down right now is not delay, it is defense. Precious listener, understand this clearly, not every threat announces itself loudly. Some arrive softly, through misplaced trust, rushed decisions, or silence where clarity was needed. You are being warned because your life has reached a sensitive junction. A single step taken without awareness could redirect your path into unnecessary struggle. That is why clarity is being given before momentum carries you too far. Dear one, you may feel an internal resistance as you hear this, a part of you wanting reassurance without responsibility. But protection works with cooperation. Awareness is the shield. Discernment is the sword. Ignoring what feels uncomfortable does not remove the danger, it only removes your ability to respond wisely. What you face is not meant to overpower you, but it will test your attention. Faithful heart, there is a pattern repeating around you that you believed had already ended. It has returned quietly, wearing a different form. What once caused confusion is attempting another entry point into your life. This time, however, you are not unaware. This time, you are being shown the pattern before it completes itself. Recognition breaks cycles faster than resistance ever could. Dear soul, timing matters more than effort in moments like this. Acting too fast creates damage. Acting too late creates regret. This warning sits precisely in the middle, where wisdom lives. There are conversations you must postpone, commitments you must reevaluate, and influences you must limit, even if doing so feels inconvenient. Convenience has cost many people peace. You are being offered another option. Chosen listener, there is also something beautiful hidden within this alert. The reason such protection surrounds you is because what lies ahead after this obstacle is meaningful. Loss often precedes warnings, but warnings precede preservation. Something valuable in your life is being guarded right now, even if you cannot yet see what it is. Beloved, your spirit has grown sharper through past challenges. That is why you sensed unease before your environment showed signs. Growth brings responsibility. You are no longer meant to move blindly. You are meant to move deliberately. The power to stop what is approaching does not lie in fear, but in conscious choice. Sacred soul, pay attention to where your energy has been draining lately. That is the area where correction is required. Tragedy does not always mean destruction, sometimes it means prolonged struggle that could have been avoided. The warning is not about panic, it is about preservation of peace, stability, and purpose. Dear one, you are not alone in this moment. Guidance surrounds you, but guidance requires listening. This message is not meant to end here. There are still specific realizations ahead that will help you navigate what is forming. Remain attentive. Remain open. The next part reveals what must be adjusted before events begin to accelerate. There is a reason your thoughts have been restless lately, even during moments that should have felt calm. That unrest is not confusion, it is awareness forming. Something in your environment has been misaligned, and your inner senses noticed before logic caught up. This message reaches you now because awareness has matured enough to be trusted. What approaches does not arrive suddenly, it advances through small permissions. Removing those permissions is how it loses power. You are standing near a decision that seems ordinary, yet its impact stretches further than expected. Many people stumble not because they choose wrongly on purpose, but because they underestimate how small choices compound over time. What is being revealed now allows you to interrupt that chain before it strengthens. This interruption is mercy. It is not delay meant to frustrate you, it is timing meant to protect your future stability. Pay attention to the subtle shifts around you. A change in tone from someone close. A recurring inconvenience that feels out of place. A sense of pressure to rush when patience would normally guide you. These are not coincidences. When urgency appears without clarity, it is often a sign to pause rather than push forward. Wisdom speaks quietly, but it speaks early. There is also something important you must understand. Not everything that feels familiar is safe, and not everything that feels uncomfortable is harmful. Growth often demands separation from what once felt secure. You are being asked to reevaluate where you place trust, time, and emotional energy. Misplaced loyalty can open doors that should remain closed. Awareness closes them gently, before force becomes necessary. What lies ahead for you holds potential that requires protection. That is why this moment carries weight. When something valuable is forming, resistance appears. It may come through distraction, doubt, or misplaced priorities. None of these are stronger than discernment. Discernment allows you to see without reacting, to choose without fear, and to move without regret. There is no need to panic. Panic clouds judgment. Calm observation sharpens it. The situation you are being warned about loses strength the moment you refuse to act blindly. Stillness, in this moment, is not weakness. It is strategic restraint. Many outcomes are decided not by action, but by refusal to act prematurely. You may notice that certain paths suddenly feel heavy, while others feel lighter even if they require patience. This contrast is guidance. Heaviness often signals resistance, while lightness signals alignment. Do not confuse difficulty with danger. Sometimes difficulty refines you. But when heaviness drains clarity rather than builds strength, it is time to reconsider direction. This message is not meant to isolate you or make you suspicious of everyone. It is meant to refine your discernment so you no longer move on assumption alone. Clarity protects relationships, finances, health, and peace. Ignoring intuition costs far more than adjusting plans ever will. There is no need to panic. Panic clouds judgment. Calm observation sharpens it. The situation you are being warned about loses strength the moment you refuse to act blindly. Stillness, in this moment, is not weakness. It is strategic restraint. Many outcomes are decided not by action, but by refusal to act prematurely. You may notice that certain paths suddenly feel heavy, while others feel lighter even if they require patience. This contrast is guidance. Heaviness often signals resistance, while lightness signals alignment. Do not confuse difficulty with danger. Sometimes difficulty refines you. But when heaviness drains clarity rather than builds strength, it is time to reconsider direction. This message is not meant to isolate you or make you suspicious of everyone. It is meant to refine your discernment so you no longer move on assumption alone. Clarity protects relationships, finances, health, and peace. Ignoring intuition costs far more than adjusting plans ever will. What you do next does not require dramatic changes. It requires awareness woven into everyday choices. Speak less where silence brings understanding. Delay commitments that demand immediate answers. Observe patterns instead of reacting to single events. These small adjustments shift outcomes more powerfully than force ever could. Remain present. The unfolding ahead can still be redirected. Protection is active. Guidance is near. What matters now is attentiveness. The next realization will help you recognize exactly where correction is needed before momentum increases. What unfolds next depends less on fate and more on perception. Many outcomes are shaped quietly by what people fail to notice rather than by what they confront directly. You are being asked to notice. Not to analyze obsessively, not to accuse or fear, but to observe with clarity. When awareness enters a situation, it changes the direction of events without resistance. This is how protection works at its highest level. There is an influence around you that thrives on momentum. It grows stronger when things move quickly and weaken when reflection slows the pace. That is why everything recently has felt rushed, as if decisions needed to be made immediately without space to think. This pressure is not guidance. True guidance never forces urgency without understanding. Choosing patience right now removes leverage from what seeks control. Your life has reached a point where what once worked no longer offers safety. Familiar solutions cannot solve emerging challenges. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It means you are evolving. Growth requires sharper awareness, not harder effort. The habits, routines, and agreements that carried you this far may not carry you forward. Recognizing this early prevents loss later. There is also a lesson here about silence. Not every truth needs immediate expression. Some insights are meant to be held quietly until timing supports their release. Speaking too soon can escalate situations unnecessarily. Waiting allows information to settle and reveals what is genuine versus what is reactive. Discernment protects not only outcomes, but dignity. You may find yourself reconsidering who truly has access to your thoughts, plans, and vulnerabilities. This reassessment is healthy. Transparency should be earned, not automatic. What you protect now preserves your strength later. Energy given carelessly becomes a liability. Energy directed wisely becomes a foundation. Notice where repetition has appeared in your life recently. Repeated delays. Repeated misunderstandings. Repeated emotional drain. These cycles do not exist to punish you, they exist to signal where change is overdue. When patterns repeat, it is because awareness has not yet been applied. Once awareness arrives, cycles break naturally. There is something significant ahead that requires you to be steady, not scattered. Focus is your ally. Distraction is the gateway through which complications enter. Simplifying choices right now strengthens your position. Complexity weakens judgment. Choose what is clear over what is impressive. Choose what is calm over what is exciting. What approaches you does not define your future unless you allow it to. Awareness changes trajectories. You are not powerless here. You are positioned precisely where prevention is possible. This is not coincidence. Timing has aligned because you are ready to respond wisely rather than react emotionally. As you continue listening, let this understanding settle gently. There is nothing you need to chase, fight, or force. The adjustment required is internal before it becomes external. Once alignment shifts within you, circumstances respond accordingly. Remain attentive. The clarity forming now will guide you through what comes next with precision rather than struggle. When you are ready to go deeper, simply say continue, and the message will unfold further without repetition, without urgency, and without confusion. What you are being guided toward now is a deeper kind of attentiveness, the kind that listens beneath noise and recognizes meaning before events fully take shape. This is not about predicting outcomes or imagining worst-case scenarios. It is about staying present enough to notice when something feels subtly misaligned, even if it looks acceptable on the surface. When perception sharpens, many problems dissolve before they ever become real. You may soon encounter a moment where you are tempted to compromise clarity for comfort. It may arrive disguised as relief, convenience, or reassurance from someone else's confidence. That is where discernment matters most. Comfort that asks you to ignore inner signals is never neutral. Choosing awareness over ease protects far more than temporary peace ever could. There is also a reminder here about responsibility. Being warned does not mean being burdened, it means being trusted. Guidance comes to those capable of handling truth without collapsing under it. You are not being overwhelmed because you are prepared. The fact that you can hear this calmly is proof that your strength has already grown beyond earlier limits. Pay attention to timing over appearances. Something may look harmless simply because consequences are delayed. Delay does not mean absence. Many disruptions take time to surface, which is why early awareness is invaluable. You are being positioned ahead of consequence, where choice still holds power. You may soon encounter a moment where you are tempted to compromise clarity for comfort. It may arrive disguised as relief, convenience, or reassurance from someone else's confidence. That is where discernment matters most. Comfort that asks you to ignore inner signals is never neutral. Choosing awareness over ease protects far more than temporary peace ever could. There is also a reminder here about responsibility. Being warned does not mean being burdened, it means being trusted. Guidance comes to those capable of handling truth without collapsing under it. You are not being overwhelmed because you are prepared. The fact that you can hear this calmly is proof that your strength has already grown beyond earlier limits. Pay attention to timing over appearances. Something may look harmless simply because consequences are delayed. Delay does not mean absence. Many disruptions take time to surface, which is why early awareness is invaluable. You are being positioned ahead of consequence, where choice still holds power. You may notice an urge to explain yourself, justify decisions, or convince others of what you sense. Resist that urge. Not everyone needs access to your understanding. Some realizations are meant to guide action quietly rather than become conversation. Silence, when chosen consciously, preserves momentum and prevents unnecessary resistance. As this message continues, allow it to refine your focus rather than scatter it. Notice what feels steady as you listen. That steadiness is alignment. When alignment is present, confusion fades naturally. You do not need to force certainty. It arrives on its own when awareness settles. What lies ahead can still unfold smoothly. This warning is not a prediction of loss, it is an invitation to move wisely. Wisdom does not rush. Wisdom notices. Wisdom adjusts gently and early. That is what is being offered to you now. Stay present. There is more clarity ahead, and it will arrive exactly when your attention is ready to receive it. If you want the message to continue unfolding, say continue, and it will carry on seamlessly, without repetition, without pressure, and without distraction. As you remain here, let your attention soften rather than strain, because understanding deepens when the mind is receptive instead of tense. There are moments when insight does not arrive as a sudden realization but as a gradual settling, like dust clearing after movement stops. This settling is happening now. It allows you to see relationships, choices, and directions with a steadier perspective, one that does not depend on emotion to guide judgment. Soon, you may find that something you once considered urgent loses its grip on you. This shift is intentional. Urgency often disguises uncertainty, while clarity brings patience. When pressure fades, truth becomes easier to recognize. That is why slowing down internally is essential at this stage. What no longer feels rushed no longer controls you. There is an invitation here to strengthen boundaries, not as walls, but as filters. Filters allow what nourishes to pass through while keeping what drains at a distance. Boundaries are not rejection, they are discernment in action. Applying them now preserves energy that will be needed for what lies ahead. Preservation is as important as progress. You might notice that certain thoughts no longer feel convincing, even if they once guided your behavior. This is growth revealing outdated narratives. Let them fall away without argument. You do not need to fight beliefs that no longer fit. Simply releasing them creates space for wiser responses to emerge. Attention also brings responsibility for self-care. Fatigue dulls perception. Overextension weakens judgment. Rest is not avoidance, it is preparation. Choosing restoration now ensures that when decisions require strength, you will meet them fully present rather than depleted. As this guidance continues, remember that awareness works quietly. It does not demand recognition or approval. It simply adjusts direction until outcomes align differently. What you change internally shifts external circumstances without struggle. Remain with this calm focus. The path ahead becomes clearer as noise recedes. When you are ready to continue deeper into this unfolding understanding, say continue, and the message will proceed smoothly, maintaining clarity, freshness, and depth without repetition. What becomes clear as you stay present is that guidance rarely pushes, it aligns. Alignment feels quieter than urgency, steadier than excitement, and stronger than fear. When you sense that quiet strength returning, trust it. It signals that confusion is loosening its hold and that direction is reorganizing itself around wisdom rather than impulse. This is how outcomes shift before events demand correction. There will be a moment when you recognize an option you were about to accept no longer fits who you are becoming. This recognition is subtle, yet decisive. Declining what no longer aligns is not loss, it is precision. Precision conserves effort and prevents entanglement. When you choose with discernment, consequences soften because resistance never gains momentum. You may notice distance forming naturally between you and influences that once felt dominant. This separation does not require confrontation. It happens as attention redirects. Where attention goes, energy follows. Where energy withdraws, control dissolves. This is not avoidance, it is sovereignty returning to its rightful place. As awareness continues to deepen, patterns that once felt confusing begin to make sense. The sequence of delays, interruptions, and redirections were not obstacles, they were calibrations. Each pause adjusted your position so this warning could reach you while change remained possible. Timing has been precise, not accidental. Clarity also brings restraint. You may feel less compelled to prove, explain, or persuade. Restraint preserves momentum. When certainty is internal, validation becomes unnecessary. This inner steadiness prevents unnecessary conflicts and keeps your focus intact as conditions shift around you. There is value now in choosing simplicity. Complicated arrangements invite misinterpretation and error. Simple actions guided by awareness create stability. Reduce what feels excessive. Streamline what feels scattered. Simplicity strengthens perception and sharpens response. You may notice distance forming naturally between you and influences that once felt dominant. This separation does not require confrontation. It happens as attention redirects. Where attention goes, energy follows. Where energy withdraws, control dissolves. This is not avoidance, it is sovereignty returning to its rightful place. As awareness continues to deepen, patterns that once felt confusing begin to make sense. The sequence of delays, interruptions, and redirections were not obstacles, they were calibrations. Each pause adjusted your position so this warning could reach you while change remained possible. Timing has been precise, not accidental. Clarity also brings restraint. You may feel less compelled to prove, explain, or persuade. Restraint preserves momentum. When certainty is internal, validation becomes unnecessary. This inner steadiness prevents unnecessary conflicts and keeps your focus intact as conditions shift around you. There is value now in choosing simplicity. Complicated arrangements invite misinterpretation and error. Simple actions guided by awareness create stability. Reduce what feels excessive. Streamline what feels scattered. Simplicity strengthens perception and sharpens response. Remember that protection often works invisibly. You may never see what was diverted or delayed. That does not reduce its significance. Many dangers lose form when awareness enters early enough. The absence of harm is not proof of inaction, it is proof of effectiveness. Stay grounded in this attentiveness. The next phase unfolds with clarity rather than force. If you wish to continue, say continue, and the message will carry forward with fresh language, sustained depth, and uninterrupted flow. As perception steadies, you may begin to notice how different your responses feel compared to the past. Situations that once pulled immediate reaction now invite observation instead. This change is subtle but powerful. Observation creates space, and space creates choice. Choice is where outcomes transform. You are no longer being carried forward by momentum alone, you are steering. This shift marks maturity of awareness, where reaction gives way to intention. There will be an opportunity soon to pause where you once would have pushed forward. That pause is not hesitation, it is discernment asserting itself. Within that pause lies the ability to redirect energy toward what truly supports your well-being. When you stop feeding what drains you, it weakens naturally. This is not resistance. It is redirection, and redirection reshapes paths quietly but decisively. You may also sense relief emerging without obvious cause. That relief is alignment returning. When inner direction matches outer movement, tension releases. This is a sign that the adjustment is already working. Trust this process. It does not require constant monitoring or force. Awareness, once established, maintains itself through steady attention. There is strength now in choosing presence over projection. Imagining future outcomes without clarity can scatter focus. Staying grounded in the present moment sharpens perception and stabilizes judgment. Each present choice compounds into future stability more reliably than speculation ever could. As understanding deepens, allow yourself patience. Integration takes time. Insights settle gradually, reshaping habits and expectations. There is no need to rush integration. What has been recognized will continue guiding you even when attention shifts elsewhere. Remain steady. The unfolding ahead responds to calm awareness rather than urgency. If you wish to continue further, say continue, and the message will progress seamlessly with renewed language, depth, and clarity. As you move forward with this steadier awareness, you may realize that certain concerns no longer occupy as much space in your thoughts. This release is not denial, it is discernment refining focus. When attention is no longer scattered across imagined threats or unnecessary obligations, clarity strengthens naturally. You begin to see what truly requires care and what was merely noise demanding energy without purpose. There will be moments when restraint feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because you are accustomed to responding quickly. Yet restraint now becomes a source of strength. It allows you to gather information fully before acting. It allows circumstances to reveal themselves without pressure. Many mistakes are avoided not by better action, but by better timing. Timing grows clearer when patience replaces impulse. You may notice that certain connections shift subtly. Some interactions feel lighter as understanding increases, while others fade without conflict. This is alignment at work. Relationships and commitments that support growth remain, those that drain clarity loosen their hold. This separation does not require judgment. It occurs naturally when awareness guides boundaries. Your inner dialogue may also change. Questions replace assumptions. Curiosity replaces anxiety. This shift matters. When you ask rather than assume, you remain open to correction and insight. Openness prevents stagnation and keeps perception flexible. Flexibility is essential when navigating change without unnecessary struggle. As calm steadiness settles in, decision-making becomes simpler. You no longer need to weigh every option excessively. What aligns feels clear. What distracts loses appeal. This simplicity is not lack of depth, it is refinement. Refined focus conserves strength and sharpens response. Carry this attentiveness gently. There is no need to hold it tightly. Awareness maintained with ease lasts longer than vigilance maintained through tension. Let understanding guide you quietly as you move through what comes next. When you are ready to continue further into this unfolding clarity, say continue, and the message will proceed with fresh expression, sustained depth, and uninterrupted flow. What continues to unfold now is a quieter confidence, one that does not announce itself yet influences every movement you make. This confidence is born from understanding rather than certainty, from awareness rather than control. You begin to trust your ability to notice what matters without forcing outcomes. Trust like this stabilizes decisions and prevents unnecessary detours that once felt unavoidable. You may find yourself less drawn to urgency created by others. External pressure loses its authority when internal clarity strengthens. When you stop borrowing direction from outside noise, you reclaim authorship over your path. This authorship does not require isolation, it requires discernment. You choose where influence enters and where it stops. There is also a refinement happening in how you interpret discomfort. Instead of reacting to it as danger, you recognize it as information. Information informs choice. Choice reshapes direction. This shift transforms challenges into signals rather than threats. When discomfort becomes informative rather than alarming, it loses its power to destabilize you. As perception continues to mature, you will notice how little effort is needed to maintain alignment once it is established. You do not need constant reminders. Awareness becomes integrated, guiding behavior naturally. This integration is the goal. It allows you to move forward without constantly looking back or second-guessing decisions already made with clarity. You are learning to value steadiness over intensity. Intensity burns quickly, steadiness sustains. Sustained awareness protects long-term outcomes more effectively than brief moments of heightened focus. This steadiness ensures that even when attention shifts temporarily, understanding remains intact. Allow this process to continue without interruption. There is no finish line to rush toward. Awareness evolves alongside experience, adjusting gently as circumstances change. What matters is not perfection, but presence. If you wish to continue exploring this unfolding guidance further, say continue, and the message will carry on seamlessly, maintaining freshness, depth, and uninterrupted flow. As this awareness deepens, you may begin to notice how your environment responds differently to your presence. Situations that once felt chaotic start arranging themselves with less resistance. This is not because circumstances have suddenly become kinder, but because your perception has become clearer. Clear perception removes unnecessary struggle. When you stop fighting what needs understanding, events lose their ability to overwhelm you. There is a quiet recalibration happening within you. Priorities are rearranging themselves without effort. What once demanded attention now fades into the background, while what truly matters becomes unmistakable. This shift is subtle, yet it changes everything. Life begins to feel less like a series of reactions and more like a deliberate movement guided by insight rather than urgency. You may encounter moments where others expect you to respond as you once did. Their expectations do not define your responsibility. Growth often surprises those who are accustomed to earlier versions of you. You are not required to explain your evolution. Consistency in awareness speaks louder than justification ever could. This stage also brings discernment around timing. You recognize when to engage and when to step back. Engagement without readiness drains strength. Withdrawal without clarity creates stagnation. Balance emerges when awareness guides timing naturally. This balance protects your energy and preserves your focus for what truly requires action. You might notice that outcomes improve even when effort decreases. This is alignment at work. When direction matches intention, resistance fades. Actions taken from clarity carry more weight than actions taken from pressure. This efficiency is not laziness. It is wisdom applied correctly. As calm steadiness continues, your inner dialogue grows quieter. Silence replaces overthinking. In that silence, intuition speaks more clearly. Intuition does not shout, it nudges. Those nudges become easier to recognize when mental noise subsides. Listening becomes effortless. There is also a strengthening of trust in your ability to navigate uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer feels threatening because awareness equips you to respond rather than panic. You do not need all answers in advance. You need presence in the moment. Presence adjusts faster than prediction ever could. This unfolding guidance does not ask you to withdraw from life, but to engage with it more consciously. Conscious engagement prevents unnecessary entanglements and preserves momentum. You move forward without dragging unresolved weight behind you. Let this understanding continue to integrate gently. There is no need to rush toward completion. Awareness matures through experience, not force. Each moment you remain attentive reinforces this foundation. 15 minutes from now, a shift will happen. Archangel Michael says someone is ready to give you their heart. But you must see this before it's too late. My child, my beloved. I did not come to entertain you today. I came because heaven marked this exact moment, and if you listen closely, you will feel it before you understand it. Something has been quietly arranging itself around your life, not loudly, not forcefully, but with intention. You were guided here because the timing is fragile, and what is approaching you cannot wait forever. If your heart feels alert right now, that is not coincidence. That is recognition. Before I speak further, I ask only one simple thing of you. Stay with this message until the end. Not because of fear, but because what is meant for you unfolds layer by layer. Those who rush will miss what was prepared gently. If you feel drawn to messages like this, subscribe and remain connected, because heaven does not repeat invitations endlessly. This space exists so you never miss what is meant to reach you in time. My child, my beloved. There is a movement beginning, and it will not announce itself with noise. It will arrive like a quiet decision made in another person's heart. Someone has been standing at the edge of truth, holding emotions they were afraid to name. They have rehearsed conversations in silence. They have imagined your reaction more than once. What stopped them before was not lack of feeling, but fear of consequence. That fear is weakening now. My child, my beloved. You may have sensed a change without knowing why. A restlessness. A pull. A sudden awareness of absence. This is not imagination. Energies shift before events do. Heaven always sends the signal before the moment arrives, because preparation is mercy. 15 minutes from now does not mean a clock must be watched. It means the window has opened, and the movement has begun. My child, my beloved. There is a heart that has chosen honesty over comfort. This person has carried affection quietly, believing silence would protect both of you. They told themselves time would dissolve it. Instead, it deepened. Every attempt to move away only clarified what they already knew. You were not a passing presence. You became a reference point. And now, holding back feels heavier than stepping forward. My child, my beloved. Do not misunderstand this message as fantasy. Heaven does not speak in illusions. What is forming is real, human, imperfect, and vulnerable. This person is not arriving as a dream, but as someone willing to risk rejection to live in truth. That is why timing matters. When courage rises, it must be met with awareness. If ignored, it retreats, not because it disappears, but because it learns to protect itself. My child, my beloved. You were not meant to chase this moment. You were meant to recognize it. The shift happens when your posture changes from guarded to open. Not desperate. Not demanding. Simply receptive. Love does not require pursuit when alignment exists. It moves naturally, like water finding its path. My child, my beloved. This message reaches you now because distractions have been placed around you lately. Doubts. Old wounds. Questions about your worth. These were not accidents. Resistance often rises right before breakthrough. The mind looks for reasons to stay familiar, even when the soul is ready for expansion. I tell you now, do not let past experiences decide the future that is approaching. My child, my beloved. Someone is preparing words that matter. They are not perfect words. They are sincere ones. And sincerity carries power that rehearsed perfection never will. When they speak, it may come unexpectedly. Through a message. A call. A moment that feels unplanned. Do not analyze it to death. Feel it first. Understanding can come later. My child, my beloved. If you have been asking heaven for clarity in matters of connection, this is your answer beginning to form. Not a sudden miracle that overwhelms you, but a gradual alignment that respects your pace. Heaven does not force unions. It creates opportunities where free will can choose love without pressure. My child, my beloved. This is also a test of presence. Many miss what arrives because they are mentally elsewhere. Reliving what hurt them. Predicting what might fail. The invitation here is simple. Be here. Be available. Be willing to receive without trying to control the outcome. That posture changes everything. My child, my beloved. If your heart feels tender right now, do not harden it. Tenderness is not weakness. It is readiness. Only a heart that has learned from pain can recognize genuine intention when it appears. What is coming is not meant to repeat old cycles. It is meant to heal them. My child, my beloved. I say this gently but clearly. Delay does not cancel destiny, but it can complicate it. When moments knock softly, they expect acknowledgement, not avoidance. You are being asked to see, not to act impulsively. Awareness alone shifts the trajectory. My child, my beloved. Heaven stands witness to what unfolds when courage meets openness. This is not about losing control. It is about trusting timing that was arranged beyond your understanding. 15 minutes from now is symbolic of readiness, not pressure. The heart moves when it feels safe to be seen. My child, my beloved. Stay with this message. Let it settle. Let it breathe inside you. What is aligning does not require force. It requires recognition. And you were brought here because your soul already knows what your mind is still catching up to. Beloved one, listen carefully now, because moments like this rarely announce themselves twice. What is unfolding around you is subtle, almost invisible to anyone not paying attention. The universe does not shout when something sacred is aligning, it whispers and waits to see who is present enough to hear it. There is a reason your thoughts have slowed slightly, a reason your chest feels heavier yet calmer at the same time. This is the space where truth prepares to enter, and nothing about this moment is accidental. You were not meant to stumble into this message by chance. Paths were adjusted, distractions delayed, impulses redirected so you would arrive here before a decision solidified elsewhere. Someone has been standing at an emotional threshold, weighing silence against honesty, comfort against courage. Their heart has already chosen, even if their lips have not yet caught up. What changes everything is not their feeling, but their readiness to act on it. My child, my beloved. Stay with this message. Let it settle. Let it breathe inside you. What is aligning does not require force. It requires recognition. And you were brought here because your soul already knows what your mind is still catching up to. Beloved one, listen carefully now, because moments like this rarely announce themselves twice. What is unfolding around you is subtle, almost invisible to anyone not paying attention. The universe does not shout when something sacred is aligning, it whispers and waits to see who is present enough to hear it. There is a reason your thoughts have slowed slightly, a reason your chest feels heavier yet calmer at the same time. This is the space where truth prepares to enter, and nothing about this moment is accidental. You were not meant to stumble into this message by chance. Paths were adjusted, distractions delayed, impulses redirected so you would arrive here before a decision solidified elsewhere. Someone has been standing at an emotional threshold, weighing silence against honesty, comfort against courage. Their heart has already chosen, even if their lips have not yet caught up. What changes everything is not their feeling, but their readiness to act on it. Right now, unseen forces are softening resistance. Doubt that once felt immovable is loosening its grip. Fear that once dominated their reasoning is losing authority. This does not happen suddenly, it happens when longing outweighs self-protection. You may notice an unfamiliar calm entering your awareness, as if something unresolved is finally moving toward resolution. That sensation is alignment, not anxiety. Do not confuse patience with stagnation. What has appeared still for a long time was gathering strength beneath the surface. Growth is quiet until it is undeniable. The heart preparing to reach you has matured through hesitation, reflection, and inner conflict. That process matters, because it ensures what comes forward now is not impulsive, but intentional. There was a time when timing would have been wrong. Words spoken then would have collapsed under pressure. Intentions revealed earlier would have been misunderstood. Heaven delays not to punish, but to protect. Only when both sides are capable of receiving without distortion does movement begin. That moment has arrived, and it carries weight. Pay attention to the next interaction that feels unusually sincere. It may not arrive wrapped in dramatic gestures. It may come as vulnerability, honesty, or a question asked more carefully than usual. Meaning often disguises itself as simplicity. Those who expect fireworks miss the candle that warms the entire room. You are being asked to remain emotionally available without rushing toward conclusions. Anticipation should not turn into pressure. Presence should not become expectation. The power of this shift lies in allowing it to unfold naturally, without interference from old narratives that no longer apply to who you are now. There is also a lesson here about worth. You do not need to prove value to be chosen. You do not need to compete for affection that is already directed toward you. What approaches you does so because recognition has occurred. Your essence made an impression long before you realized it was being observed. Be mindful of your responses during this window. The energy you carry into conversations now shapes what follows. Calm invites honesty. Openness invites courage. Guardedness invites retreat. This is not about perfection, but about authenticity. Show up as you are, not as who you think you should be. Understand this clearly: nothing meant for you will bypass you. However, timing determines ease. When awareness meets opportunity, the path remains smooth. When awareness lags, lessons repeat. You are being offered clarity now so you do not have to learn through loss later. What has been withheld is not affection, but certainty. That certainty is forming. When it arrives, it will feel grounded rather than overwhelming. It will not destabilize your life, it will integrate into it. That is how you know it is aligned. Remain here mentally and emotionally. Do not drift. Do not dismiss what you sense simply because it lacks dramatic explanation. Some of the most meaningful shifts occur quietly, leaving no evidence except inner peace and forward movement. This message continues because preparation takes time. Truth settles gradually, like light adjusting after darkness. Allow yourself to absorb without forcing interpretation. Understanding will arrive organically, just as the next step will arrive naturally. Stay receptive. Stay aware. What is approaching is closer than it appears, and readiness on your side ensures nothing precious is missed. Precious soul, there is a stillness forming around you that did not exist before, and it is not emptiness. It is the pause that appears right before something meaningful steps forward. Many confuse this quiet with waiting, but it is actually readiness. The noise has been lowered so recognition can occur. You are not being rushed, yet you are not meant to drift either. This moment sits delicately between those two states, asking only for awareness. What is moving toward you carries intention shaped by reflection. This person did not arrive here through impulse or fantasy. Their emotions were tested by distance, hesitation, and self-questioning. Each delay refined their understanding until denial became impossible. When a heart reaches that stage, it no longer seeks reassurance from others. It seeks alignment with truth. That is the kind of energy that approaches you now. You may notice memories resurfacing unexpectedly, not to pull you backward, but to show you how much you have changed. Old reactions no longer fit. Former fears feel smaller. This contrast is important, because it allows you to receive something new without projecting past outcomes onto it. Growth prepares the space, honesty fills it. There is also a shift occurring within you that mirrors what is happening elsewhere. Your expectations have softened. Your defenses have loosened. You are no longer trying to predict every outcome, and that surrender is not weakness. It is maturity. When control relaxes, connection flows more freely. This internal adjustment is what makes the external movement possible. Timing has been precise because hearts carry consequences. A word spoken too early can create confusion. A truth revealed too late can create regret. Heaven arranges intersections carefully, ensuring both sides can stand in the moment without collapsing under it. You are now capable of holding what is about to be shared without fear or distortion. You may notice memories resurfacing unexpectedly, not to pull you backward, but to show you how much you have changed. Old reactions no longer fit. Former fears feel smaller. This contrast is important, because it allows you to receive something new without projecting past outcomes onto it. Growth prepares the space, honesty fills it. There is also a shift occurring within you that mirrors what is happening elsewhere. Your expectations have softened. Your defenses have loosened. You are no longer trying to predict every outcome, and that surrender is not weakness. It is maturity. When control relaxes, connection flows more freely. This internal adjustment is what makes the external movement possible. Timing has been precise because hearts carry consequences. A word spoken too early can create confusion. A truth revealed too late can create regret. Heaven arranges intersections carefully, ensuring both sides can stand in the moment without collapsing under it. You are now capable of holding what is about to be shared without fear or distortion. Do not underestimate subtle signs in the hours ahead. Pay attention to tone, timing, and intention rather than surface details. Meaning often hides in how something is said rather than what is said. A pause before speaking. A softness that was not present before. An effort to be understood rather than admired. These are markers of sincerity. You are not being asked to decide anything immediately. You are being invited to witness something real as it emerges. Observation without judgment creates safety. Safety invites honesty. Honesty opens doors that force never could. Allow the sequence to unfold without interference. If at any point you feel the urge to withdraw, pause and ask yourself whether it is intuition or old conditioning speaking. Wisdom feels calm. Fear feels urgent. Discernment now protects what is forming. Not every instinct deserves obedience, especially those shaped by experiences that no longer define you. There is value in staying grounded during this phase. Remain connected to your routine, your breath, your present life. Do not suspend yourself waiting for something to happen. When alignment arrives, it integrates naturally rather than disrupting everything around it. What is healthy adds stability, not chaos. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be for this intersection to occur cleanly. The sense of anticipation you feel is not anxiety about loss, it is recognition of proximity. Something unresolved is preparing to resolve itself. Let this message sit with you rather than rush past it. Its purpose is not to excite, but to steady. When clarity replaces tension, decisions become easier and outcomes become gentler. That is the path opening now. Remain attentive. Remain receptive. The unfolding has already begun, and awareness ensures you move with it rather than after it. There is a subtle recalibration happening within you, almost like an internal compass correcting itself without effort. You may not notice it consciously, yet your reactions are changing. Situations that once triggered uncertainty no longer carry the same weight. This internal steadiness is not accidental, it is preparation. When something meaningful approaches, chaos fades so discernment can take its place. You are being positioned to recognize sincerity without second-guessing it. Elsewhere, a realization has matured fully. What was once confusing has clarified. What was once questioned has settled. This person understands now that avoiding vulnerability costs more than facing it. Their hesitation was never about lack of feeling, it was about responsibility. They wanted certainty before stepping forward, not excitement. That distinction matters because it shapes what follows. What comes from reflection lasts longer than what comes from impulse. Energy does not move randomly. It responds to readiness. Your emotional environment has shifted enough to support honesty without collapse. That is why the timing feels delicate rather than dramatic. Nothing is forcing itself into your life. It is aligning naturally, like two paths finally intersecting after running parallel for longer than expected. You may sense an urge to interpret every sign, but restraint will serve you better now. Overanalysis dilutes clarity. Presence sharpens it. Let moments speak for themselves. Let interactions reveal meaning organically. Truth does not require decoding when it is genuine. It resonates quietly and settles comfortably. What you are stepping into does not demand perfection. It invites authenticity. You are not required to perform, impress, or adapt yourself into something else. What is approaching recognizes you as you are now, not as who you once were or who you feared you needed to become. That recognition is the foundation of anything stable. Pay attention to how peace accompanies this unfolding rather than tension. Anxiety belongs to uncertainty. Calm accompanies alignment. If something feels grounding instead of destabilizing, that is confirmation without words. The body often understands before the mind catches up. There is also a release happening beneath awareness. Old expectations are loosening. Patterns that no longer serve you are quietly dissolving. This clearing creates room for something that does not need to compete with the past. Nothing new thrives in crowded emotional spaces. Space has been made intentionally. Do not rush to label what is emerging. Labels confine what is still expanding. Allow it to exist in its natural state for now. When clarity solidifies, it will not need urgency to prove itself. It will feel obvious, steady, and uncomplicated. You are being reminded that connection does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it enters softly, testing whether it will be noticed. Attentiveness matters more than intensity in moments like this. Those who are present receive fully. Those who are distracted receive fragments. This phase is brief but meaningful. Not because it expires quickly, but because awareness during it shapes the entire direction of what follows. A single response, a single choice to remain open, alters outcomes more than effort ever could. Let yourself remain grounded while staying aware. Continue living, breathing, moving forward as usual. What aligns naturally will weave itself into your life without disruption. That is how you recognize what belongs. The unfolding continues quietly. Nothing has stalled. Nothing has been missed. You are exactly where you should be to witness what comes next with clarity rather than confusion. Do not rush to label what is emerging. Labels confine what is still expanding. Allow it to exist in its natural state for now. When clarity solidifies, it will not need urgency to prove itself. It will feel obvious, steady, and uncomplicated. You are being reminded that connection does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it enters softly, testing whether it will be noticed. Attentiveness matters more than intensity in moments like this. Those who are present receive fully. Those who are distracted receive fragments. This phase is brief but meaningful. Not because it expires quickly, but because awareness during it shapes the entire direction of what follows. A single response, a single choice to remain open, alters outcomes more than effort ever could. Let yourself remain grounded while staying aware. Continue living, breathing, moving forward as usual. What aligns naturally will weave itself into your life without disruption. That is how you recognize what belongs. The unfolding continues quietly. Nothing has stalled. Nothing has been missed. You are exactly where you should be to witness what comes next with clarity rather than confusion. A gentle awareness is settling into your thoughts now, not demanding attention yet refusing to be ignored. It feels like recognition rather than surprise. This is what happens when truth approaches slowly enough to be received without shock. You are not meant to brace yourself. You are meant to remain present. Presence is the doorway through which meaningful change enters without resistance. Somewhere beyond your immediate view, a choice has been finalized internally. Not announced, not displayed, simply accepted. When a heart reaches this point, it stops negotiating with fear. It understands that avoidance only postpones growth. That understanding carries weight, because it transforms intention into motion. What was once uncertain is now directed. Notice how your inner dialogue has softened lately. The harsh questioning has eased. The constant measuring of outcomes has quieted. This shift matters more than you realize. A calm internal environment allows sincerity to land without distortion. When emotional noise fades, genuine connection becomes audible. You are being reminded, subtly, that timing is not about speed. It is about harmony. Events arrive when all parts involved can hold them without strain. That balance has been achieved. Nothing is rushing forward. Nothing is pulling away. Everything is aligning at its natural pace. There may be moments ahead that feel ordinary on the surface yet carry unusual significance underneath. A simple exchange. A shared silence. A moment of eye contact that lingers slightly longer than expected. These are not accidents. They are signals revealing comfort, familiarity, and readiness without announcement. It is important now to trust your ability to perceive sincerity. You have earned that discernment through experience. Doubt no longer serves as protection, awareness does. When something feels grounded rather than chaotic, steady rather than consuming, that is not coincidence. That is alignment. You are not being asked to surrender your boundaries. You are being invited to soften your guard where safety has been established. Strength is knowing when to remain firm and when to allow entry. Wisdom recognizes the difference instinctively. As this continues to unfold, resist the urge to fast forward emotionally. Let each moment arrive fully before moving to the next. Anticipation does not need to replace presence. What is meant for you will not vanish because you stayed calm. The atmosphere around this connection feels different because it is different. There is no urgency to convince, impress, or secure. What exists does not need to be proven. It simply needs to be acknowledged. Recognition creates space for honesty to breathe. Remain attentive without becoming vigilant. Awareness should feel light, not heavy. When you move with openness rather than expectation, you allow events to reveal themselves clearly. Control blurs perception. Trust sharpens it. This phase will not last forever, not because it ends abruptly, but because it transitions naturally. What begins as awareness becomes understanding. What begins as understanding becomes movement. Each stage unfolds only when the previous one has settled fully. Allow this message to remain with you as you move through the next hours. Not as a prediction, but as orientation. You are not waiting for something external to define your direction. You are aligning internally so what arrives meets you fully prepared. Nothing here requires effort. Nothing here demands force. Everything here responds to readiness. Stay present. Stay grounded. What continues to unfold does so with intention, clarity, and care. Something subtle is reorganizing your emotional landscape, almost as if your inner world is making space without asking permission. You might notice a clearer sense of self, a steadiness that does not rely on reassurance. This inner clarity is important, because it changes how you receive what is approaching. When the heart is settled, it can recognize truth without confusion. You are not meant to guess anymore. You are meant to perceive. What has been forming beyond your immediate awareness carries sincerity shaped by restraint. This person has learned through silence what words could not teach them. They have confronted their own contradictions, their hesitation, their tendency to wait for perfect certainty. That process refined their intention until it became solid enough to move forward without collapse. What emerges from such reflection is not fleeting emotion, but grounded resolve. You may feel moments of heightened sensitivity, where small details stand out more clearly than usual. This is not vulnerability in the fragile sense, it is attunement. Awareness sharpens when something meaningful draws near. Trust this heightened perception. It exists so you can respond appropriately rather than react impulsively. Nothing about this unfolding requires urgency. Pressure belongs to instability. What is aligning does not need to rush you or corner you. It respects your pace, your boundaries, your readiness. That respect is a sign of maturity, not distance. Healthy connection honors timing instead of forcing it. As interactions continue, you might notice an unfamiliar ease replacing anticipation. This ease is not indifference, it is safety. When something fits, the body relaxes instead of bracing. That response is worth noticing. It signals compatibility at a deeper level than excitement ever could. You may feel moments of heightened sensitivity, where small details stand out more clearly than usual. This is not vulnerability in the fragile sense, it is attunement. Awareness sharpens when something meaningful draws near. Trust this heightened perception. It exists so you can respond appropriately rather than react impulsively. Nothing about this unfolding requires urgency. Pressure belongs to instability. What is aligning does not need to rush you or corner you. It respects your pace, your boundaries, your readiness. That respect is a sign of maturity, not distance. Healthy connection honors timing instead of forcing it. As interactions continue, you might notice an unfamiliar ease replacing anticipation. This ease is not indifference, it is safety. When something fits, the body relaxes instead of bracing. That response is worth noticing. It signals compatibility at a deeper level than excitement ever could. You are also being released from old internal negotiations. You no longer need to convince yourself that patience is strength or that waiting equals loss. What is meant for you aligns without struggle. When effort feels unnecessary, you are in the right place. Be mindful not to overlay past experiences onto present moments. Each situation deserves to be met as it is, not as something it resembles. Your growth allows you to respond differently now, and that difference changes outcomes dramatically. The coming exchange may feel understated, yet its impact will linger. Meaningful shifts often announce themselves quietly, leaving clarity instead of chaos in their wake. Let understanding arrive naturally rather than demanding explanation immediately. You are not being tested. You are being trusted. Trusted to remain present, to listen fully, to respond honestly. That trust exists because you are capable of holding what is shared without fear-driven reaction. Allow yourself to move through the next phase with calm curiosity rather than expectation. Curiosity keeps the heart open without attachment. Expectation narrows perception. What unfolds benefits from spacious attention. This alignment is not fragile, but it is responsive. How you show up matters. Not through performance, but through authenticity. Being yourself fully is the only requirement. Let this awareness accompany you gently rather than weigh on you. You are not waiting for permission. You are already positioned correctly. What comes next will meet you where you stand, not where you were. Stay present. Stay receptive. The movement continues with intention, and clarity will deepen as each moment settles into the next. A quiet confidence is beginning to replace uncertainty within you, not the loud kind that needs validation, but the grounded kind that feels steady even when nothing is explained yet. This shift is important because it changes how you receive what is unfolding. You are no longer reaching outward for answers, you are becoming capable of recognizing truth the moment it stands in front of you. That recognition does not rush. It settles. What has been developing on the other side of this alignment is not dramatic, yet it is decisive. A realization has crossed a threshold where retreat no longer feels honest. When that happens, silence becomes heavier than speech. The heart understands that remaining hidden would mean betraying itself. That understanding creates movement, even if the steps taken are careful and measured. You may notice that your intuition feels clearer now, less clouded by fear-based imagination. This clarity allows you to sense intention without needing confirmation. When sincerity is present, it carries a distinct calm. It does not confuse or overwhelm. It feels grounded, almost familiar, as if it belongs naturally in your life rather than disrupting it. The coming moments ask you to remain emotionally available without becoming reactive. Availability does not mean vulnerability without boundaries. It means being willing to listen without immediately defending or predicting outcomes. This balance allows honesty to surface safely. When people feel safe, they speak truthfully. There is no requirement here to decide anything quickly. What unfolds does not demand immediate commitment or response. It seeks acknowledgement before action. Acknowledgement is powerful because it validates presence without forcing direction. Direction reveals itself when acknowledgement is genuine. You are also releasing an old pattern of bracing for disappointment. That pattern served a purpose once, but it is no longer necessary. Growth has changed your capacity to handle complexity. You can now hold uncertainty without panic, curiosity without attachment, openness without self-betrayal. This emotional maturity creates space for something healthier to enter. Pay attention to how natural interactions feel during this period. Effortless communication is not boring, it is stable. When words do not need constant correction or explanation, it indicates mutual understanding. That ease is a foundation, not a lack of depth. This unfolding is not meant to consume your thoughts or pull you away from your life. What aligns with you integrates seamlessly. It adds to your sense of self rather than replacing it. Anything that demands you abandon yourself was never meant to stay. Allow moments to arrive as they are, without mentally rushing ahead. The future does not need to be imagined right now. Presence carries more information than projection ever could. When you remain present, clarity reveals itself step by step. You are being guided to trust the calm rather than chase intensity. Intensity fades. Calm endures. What approaches you does so with steadiness, not urgency, and that steadiness is what makes it sustainable. Let this message accompany you lightly as you move forward. It is not a burden or a warning. It is orientation. You are aligned, aware, and prepared to receive what continues to unfold without fear or force. The movement is ongoing. Nothing has stalled. Nothing has been missed. Awareness keeps you exactly where you need to be as the next moment arrives naturally. A deeper calm is taking root within you now, the kind that does not depend on outcomes or explanations. It feels steady, almost reassuring, as though something within you already understands that what is unfolding does not require force. This calm is not passivity, it is alignment. When inner resistance dissolves, perception sharpens, and you begin to notice truth without effort. That is the state you are being guided into. Allow moments to arrive as they are, without mentally rushing ahead. The future does not need to be imagined right now. Presence carries more information than projection ever could. When you remain present, clarity reveals itself step by step. You are being guided to trust the calm rather than chase intensity. Intensity fades. Calm endures. What approaches you does so with steadiness, not urgency, and that steadiness is what makes it sustainable. Let this message accompany you lightly as you move forward. It is not a burden or a warning. It is orientation. You are aligned, aware, and prepared to receive what continues to unfold without fear or force. The movement is ongoing. Nothing has stalled. Nothing has been missed. Awareness keeps you exactly where you need to be as the next moment arrives naturally. A deeper calm is taking root within you now, the kind that does not depend on outcomes or explanations. It feels steady, almost reassuring, as though something within you already understands that what is unfolding does not require force. This calm is not passivity, it is alignment. When inner resistance dissolves, perception sharpens, and you begin to notice truth without effort. That is the state you are being guided into. What has been forming elsewhere has reached a point of internal clarity. Confusion has been replaced by acceptance, and hesitation has given way to resolve. This did not happen overnight. It took reflection, distance, and honesty with oneself. The result is a willingness to move forward without guarantees, driven not by fantasy, but by authenticity. That kind of movement carries weight because it is grounded in self-awareness. You may sense that your emotional responses are becoming more measured. Situations that once felt uncertain now feel neutral or even steady. This shift is important because it allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react instinctively. When emotional balance is present, communication becomes clearer, and misunderstandings lose their power. There is no urgency attached to what is approaching, and that absence of pressure is intentional. Healthy alignment does not rush or demand. It respects timing, boundaries, and individuality. Anything meant to last arrives with patience rather than insistence. That patience creates space for genuine connection to grow without strain. As moments unfold, pay attention to how grounded you feel rather than how excited. Excitement fluctuates, grounding remains. When something fits naturally into your life, it does not pull you off balance. It integrates quietly, adding depth rather than distraction. That sense of integration is a signal worth trusting. You are also stepping out of an old habit of anticipating loss before it occurs. That habit once served as protection, but it no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Awareness now replaces defense. Awareness allows you to see clearly without building walls in advance. This shift changes how others experience you as well. Interactions during this phase may feel sincere without being dramatic. Words may be chosen carefully, pauses may carry meaning, and gestures may feel intentional rather than impulsive. These subtleties matter. They reveal respect, consideration, and presence. Notice them without overanalyzing their significance. There is strength in allowing things to unfold without immediate definition. Definitions can come later, once understanding has settled fully. For now, observation is enough. When you observe without judgment, truth presents itself naturally. You are not being asked to suspend your life while something aligns. Continue living fully, engaging with your world, staying connected to yourself. What belongs with you will weave itself into your life without disruption. That seamless integration is a hallmark of alignment. This message is not about prediction, it is about readiness. Readiness allows you to meet what arrives with clarity rather than confusion. When readiness is present, nothing important passes unnoticed. Remain attentive, grounded, and open. The unfolding continues quietly, guided by intention rather than urgency. Each moment builds upon the last, creating a path that feels steady, natural, and true.